who is GNV. It's one of the leading company in the Mediterranean area for the transportation of freight and passengers. We transport more than 1.5 million of passengers every year. We have transformed a ship in a COVID hospital in more or less 1 week. It's something that is unique worldwide. I like to define me like a person that like to change the status quo. If you dream it, you can do it. If you can involve your team in your vision, I think it's easier to obtain results.
This is CIONET TV. My name is Hendrik Deckers. I'm here today with Barbara Poli. And Barbara is the Chief Information Officer and the Chief Technology Officer of the GNV, Grandi, Navi, Veloci. A very warm welcome, Barbara.
Thank you so much, Hendrik. Very exciting to be here.
Barbara, you have a Master in Business Administration from the Bocconi University in Milan. You started your career more than 20 years ago, and in the first 12 years, you worked in the strategy group at Accenture. Then you joined RINA, a naval certification company, as marketing director, and then as CDO. And in September 2019, you were recruited in GNV as the new group CIO/CTO. So Barbara, in a nutshell, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, who are you, and how did you arrive in this position at GNV?
Okay, thank you so much. I was born in a little town in the north of Italy, Salso Maggiore Terme. It's a beautiful town, very famous for its terme, the properties of its water. And I moved from them for the university, as you mentioned. A very fantastic period of my life, one of the best in general. I became also member of the faculty of council of my university. I always be very proactive and engage in a lot of different things in a parallel way. After my graduation, I started in the strategy consulting companies at the beginning in KPMG and then for 10 years in Accenture. And I had a lot of experience in communication and media companies in Italy and abroad. Okay. Then for a life choice, I moved in Genoa, and I started working in RINA as a marketing director. But in that company, I led different projects. One of these was the rethinking of all corporate processes and the application park of the group. And during this project, my ex-boss asked me to become also the CIO of the company. Okay. More or less 2 years ago, I joined this great company, GNV, that it's a very fun position and fun company.
Okay, great. So for those of us who don't know GNV, can you tell us a little bit? It's a company with many ships, many people, passengers and so on. Tell us a little bit more about the company and what is it that it does really, really well.
Okay, I hope a lot of you could know who is GNV, but just for remember some numbers. First of all, it's one of the leading company in the Mediterranean area for the transportation of freight and passengers in the ferry market. We have between 18, 20 ships now in the fleet. We transport more than 1.5 million of passengers every year. And I have about 2,000 of colleagues. So it's a very big company, and we are part of MSC Group.
MSC, famous for the cruise ships, a big group. So GNV, you're in the travel industry and the passenger industry, and also in the freight and the logistics industry. So tell us what happened in February, March last year when COVID hit us. What was the impact on GNV?
Of course, for a company that is focused on tourism, the COVID was like a tsunami. According to some organization, the World Tourism Organization, we have registered a loss of more than 1 trillion of euro in export revenue in the tourism sector. And we are at risk at about 100 million of direct job. So it's a very huge impact. But I think it's also the opportunity to rethink a completely new sector, also because we have to face a new normal. Yep. And I think this is exactly how also is my company GNV is doing in order to face this strange period. We need to have a double approach. An approach to long-term, a strategy, a direction, but also a tactical approach day by day in order to face and to change, to be agile and flexible in each of our moves. And we are exactly doing this. We have rethink, remodulate business, so change some route, focusing more on chartering, focus more on national transportation, and in the same time we are also create the direction for the transformation of the future. And for example, we are investing a lot in the digital transformation of the company.
Okay. Now, you took this as an opportunity to modernize, to transform the organization. But at the same time, GNV was also called upon to play a key role in healthcare situation in the Corona crisis. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, this is the first project that I would like to tell you because it's something that is unique at worldwide level. We have transformed a ship in a COVID hospital in more or less 1 week. I give you some more details. So last year, exactly in March, in February, at the end of February, COVID started. And immediately our CEO, Matteo Catani, set a COVID committee based with the first, the directors that he led. And every day we stay together in order to understand how to move, how to react to this strange period. In the very few days, the first problem occurred. One of the passengers in one of our ship was positive to COVID. And immediately we needed to isolate our crew and our ship in order to sanitize the ship and in order to be sure that our crew was safe. and it was so difficult to find some right structure to in which to stay our people, because at the time no one knows how to face, how to manage the safe protocol, and they was also a little worried about the brand image linked to COVID. So we started to select some hotels, residence facilities, very difficult. And then in one of these meetings, we think, but which place could be safer than a ship in order to isolate people that could be potential contagious? And that was the idea. From a very problem, we tried to transform this in an opportunity, and in a few time we started to think really in order to create, to implement this concept. Just to give you an idea, on day one we tried to design the concept. On day 2 and day 3 we all together try to define the feasibility analysis in order to think to all processes and to all transformation of the ship in order to be compliant with the new protocols. And in these days, we have also starting to find partners and starting to talking about institutions and authorities. And from day 4 to day 8, we implement all different solutions on the ships. In day 9, we have delivered a hospital COVID ship to the local authorities. Of course, it was not just an IT project, but it was a really company project, and it was successful thanks to the teamwork of our team. And in terms, for example, of IT, just to give you some more details, we have we have to guarantee the Wi-Fi coverage in all the ship. And we have implemented more than 70 access points and 4 kilometers of cable in very few days. Why? Because we need to ensure the transfer of data from the ship to the hospitals continuously. And again, we need to covering each cabins because we wanted to ensure a better quality of life for patients that has to stay in the quarantine. Of course, cabling a ship is not like cable our house, and I don't know if I don't know your experience, but 3 days for cabling just my apartment was not enough. And a ship, it's a very, very big metal structure, articulated in bridges and in silos, very, very tough. So the working together, not only of my IT technicians, but also electricians, could solve a lot of, obviously, problems. In this project, we have, and in that days, we have also set up a solution of video surveillance, because of course we need to monitor patients and crew. We have set up a workstation for all healthcare personnel. we have set up also a software for onboarding security and access in order to be sure who was in every moment inside our ships. So it was not an easy project.
So a very important big emergency project where you turn the ship into a hospital so that you could isolate COVID patients in there. So that was the immediate thing that was managed very, very well. But at the same time, you also took this crisis as an opportunity to do several transformations. Can you give us a bit of an overview? What are the different things that you have changed over the last 12 months?
Yeah, in particular in IT, I like to define me like a person that like to change the status quo. And just to give you an idea, when I started, we launched, for example, a very complex project of cybersecurity. Complex because we have created an integrated plan in different regulations. I don't know if you know, but for example, GDPR, IMO, it's a regulation specific for maritime, PCI, specific for credit card processes, and NIST for cybersecurity. So a lot of regulation with very a lot of requirement. We have tried to put together, define if there was a requirement similar, and try to standardize our operation. Another project was, of course, the COVID ship hospital, and in the same days, another transformation was the smart working. We passed from 0% to 100% in 10 days, 2 weeks, like I think every company in the world at the time. Again, we starting to rethink our core business application, the reservation. We launched a control tower, another very important project that we are managing. We started also to rethink the communication among internal IT team, but also among the top management of the company. We set up, for example, an IT committee every month in order to be very, very transparent with my company and select together the priorities of IT in every moment. And of course, all of these projects and activities are parallel to the continuous day-by-day activities or changes by business, like new route, new ships, and new destinations.
Okay, so many things changed. Can you tell me a little bit about the control tower program that you just mentioned? I think that was an important one, right?
Yes, I think yes. As we mentioned before, GNV is a transportation company. And of course, for each company that transports people and freight, punctuality is the first goal. But punctuality is not so easy to be reached. Why? Imagine a lot of ships. Each ships need to have different stops, different port. In each stops, in each port, you have to do a lot of processes, day-by-day processes. For example, check-in of passengers, check-in of freights, the providing of food or something for cabins or again for shops, refueling of bunkers, customs checks, a lot of different processes. If you add to these processes also the unexpected events, for example, changes in meteo marines conditions, or technical problem, healthcare problem, everything, okay. If everything of this step has a delay and are not perfectly synchronized, you have a problem in delay. And this will have like a domino logic, a reflection in all part of the process, with high impact in terms of cost and customer not satisfaction. So this was the starting point for our control tower for punctuality. It was again a company project. So this is a very important point, Hendrik, because IT could bring value if it's an enabler of business strategies. In this case, the point was to create a single room for the coordination of all these processes that involved people in different functions, ports, ships, and try to coordinate all these different parts in order to obtain a continuous improvement in our operations. And why and how? Of course, the idea is to have like a NASA control room with a different dashboard, and in this dashboard to collect many data in real time in order in real time to take actions to better improve our processes. It was not so easy as a project because we starting from scratch, from a blank sheet, and so we approach this project in by step. First of all, by the design phase was following in two steps. One more traditional, based on the interview of a subject matter expert, and the second one through design thinking workshop in order to be more creative, in order to obtain not only a detailed design but also in order to align all the company with the same goal. Following the design phase, there be the pilot, a minimum viable product, just in I think more or less 1 month, and then through an agile approach, we will continue in a more a simple a following solution, target solution. The other point that was very interesting in this project was it was a project data-driven by design, and the data was really different. We starting to collect existing data from our legacy system. We are collecting IoT data from our ships. We will collect also external data, for example, for the meteo marine condition from the satellite, or the sentiment of our customers based on social network. This will be the next phase of our control tower in order to understand which line could be more impacted in terms of customer satisfaction, and new input for in order to create a new tool to collect new data in order that now we are not collecting. And this project we think will be a dramatic transformation of our way to doing business, and we think could provide a very big result in our margins.
Can you share how much money you want to make or save with this project?
We expect at least 3 and 4 million of margin increased.
On a yearly basis, wow, okay. Super. Now, Barbara, you're implementing many changes. You had the crisis programs, you had transformation programs. Tell us a bit more. GNV in total, you said 2,500 people in offices and many on the ships, of course. How is IT and digital organized? And how big is it? And how have you designed your IT organization?
The IT organization in GNV cover all different parts of IT. So we are the governance of applications and innovation, the infrastructures, and the cyber security and privacy governance. In general, we think that the internal organization need to be very with few people that can have the lead of all the areas, and the rest of the implementation is more through external partner.
Okay, and how would you describe your role? I mean, you were brought in to make a change, but how was your role when you started? How is your role today, and how do you see your role evolving in the future?
First of all, I think I'm a non-conventional CIO. Mainly because my experience, I have not a technical background. I came from business, and then I obtained the leadership of the IT, and I think it's the best journey for a CIO today, no? Because you understand better the request and to think to technology really like a lever, like a way to obtain something that is more important. So my role is from one side to be like at the middle between IT and business, and at the same time I'm a people that like to change status quo. So my role is to challenge for sure my team, but in general also the organization, in order to transform and obtain a great result.
So let's talk a bit about your team. How do you manage your team? I mean, how would you describe your management style? And is it easy for you to attract people and to make them successful?
Easy. First of all, I believe very much in the leadership by example, And so what I try to do every day is, first of all, give the example, ask a lot, and to myself first, and to the others following. And at the same time, I think that the first motivation of people is understand why they do something. So I wrote a sentence in the room of my son. If you dream it, you can do it. It's a sentence from Walt Disney. But if you can imagine, if you can involve your team in your vision, I think it's easier to go through difficulties and hard work in order to obtain results. This is my level.
So how do you think your team perceives your leadership style? What do you think they will say about you when you are not around?
Wow. My teams in particular at the beginning was very, very confused because changes so many things in a few times. Of course, it's not easy. But in general, in order to answer to your question, I think that if you want to change very much something, relationship, it's really, really difficult to manage at the same time, because people, it's not easy to change. It's a natural thing. And there are two types of people, no? There are people that can embrace the change and work genuinely with you in order to overcome a problem and to gain a result. There are some other people that don't want to change and try to not to be so convinced. And it's not easy, not easy for me in particular, to understand these two different types of people, no? Because so my result is I try not to care so much about of what people tell about me, and I live a little well.
Let's talk a little bit more about your personality, Barbara. We're using the MBTI personality type as a common thread in our leadership deep dive interviews, and you shared with us that your personality type is ENFJ, also known as the protagonist. And protagonists, they're extroverted, intuitive, more on the feeling side, and they have judging personalities. And typically, these are warm, forthright types that love helping others and that tend to have strong ideas and values. Now, people with these personality types, their strengths are that they are tolerant, that they are reliable, that they are charismatic, altruistic, and natural leaders. Do you recognize yourself in there? Does that fit the bill for you?
I hope so. I hope so. Of course, not. I think it's not me that have to say this, but if I see back, I think there are a lot of these things that in which I can be reflecting.
Okay.
At the same time, there are a lot of weaknesses.
Okay, let's talk about these, because they are more interesting. Well, not necessarily more interesting, but in order to be a good digital leader, a good manager, and to lead people in a big company like yours, you have to overcome several of your personal weaknesses. You have to develop yourself as a professional. So people with your personality type sometimes have the following weaknesses. And please tell me, which one do you recognize, and have you worked on, have you overcome, and how did you do that? And so people could be overly idealistic, they could be too selfless, too sensitive sometimes, with fluctuating self-esteem, and sometimes they struggle to make tough decisions. Do you recognize some of these, and can you explore that a bit more?
I'm really too sensitive. Also, if the beginning it's not so easy to say, it's really easy to hurt me, because I'm a little idealistic, no? Of course, I have to dream, and if I encounter people that don't have my same value, it's for me a little bit difficult. At the same time, I also really demanding, and sometimes could be also too much, no, for someone. And again, a little direct with people. I appreciate very much people that is transparent to me, and even if he said something that could be not easy to accept, because for me it's a way to learn, a way to improve myself. And this is why I continue adopting this direct style of say things, because I don't want judge people, but I want to go direct to result without too many diplomacy.
Okay. Now, what is it that really drives you in your life and your work? When at the end of the day, are you happy, and do you feel very good? What needs to happen for that?
I'm very happy if I can do a little more. This is so when you think it's enough and you stop it, okay, for me I'm not so happy. If I can do a little more, and of course, if there is a passion for work, for doing everything, for me was a day very useful, very satisfied.
Okay. You mentioned values. Let's talk a little bit more about your values. I mean, you shared with us that you have a son, 9 years old, Francesco, and what are the values that you're passing on to your son? How do you want him to grow up? What are important values for you?
If I have to give you a list, first of all, the excellence, integrity, kindness, passion, and determination. Okay. These are something in which I have inside, and I try to teach also to my son.
Okay. What have you learned from mentors in your life, people that you look up to, people that have guided you in your personal and professional life? Can you maybe give an example of that?
Yes. If I think to my mentor, I think to my mother. She taught me 3 very important things. One, to be independent. Second, to follow my dreams. And 3, to be a warrior.
A warrior.
to fight, each battle. And I think, these are best thing that she give me.
Do you have a personal mantra, a guiding principle or a guided saying that helps you if you have to make tough decisions, for instance?
There is a sentence from Nelson Mandela that said, I never lose, or I win, or I learn. And for me, it's really, really true. So I don't think about my failures, but I think how to learn about problems and go ahead with more abilities.
Now you're clearly a very family-oriented person. Your mother, your son, the people around you are very important, and so there's certainly the good things that happen to you. But I can also imagine that life is not always good to us. Sometimes we have bad things that happen to us. So could you share a little bit the bad things that happened to you in your life, and how did that form you as a person and as a leader?
As you said, it's true. I'm very close to my family. And some years ago, I lost my dad. And it was a very bad moment. And I got over it by accepting it. I understood that sometimes if you have tried to fight in order to obtain what you want, what you care, sometimes you have to stop it and let it go. And it was a lesson, very important lesson, not only for that specific event, but that is for me transformational for every time that I'm facing a big problem. When I cannot do anything more, let it go.
Okay. Now, besides your family, of course, what is it that you really love most in your life? What and the flip side of that, what is it that you fear most? Can you share that with us?
I fear to lose people that I love, and I love have fun. I love traveling. I love have holiday in a beautiful sea. I like to be on the beach or reading, booking, see the horizon in beautiful beaches. This is for me very, very relaxing, and I like, of course, stay with my friends and go out in the restaurants and talk, and I like so much learning new things.
Okay, what are you most grateful for in your life?
I grateful for who I am. I love myself. I like myself. I respect myself, and it's the first start to resolve everything. So this is something that I'm grateful for.
Okay, great. Now, the final question of our conversation here today, Barbara, is you're clearly very successful. You're the CIO, CTO of this big transport and shipping company, GNV. What advice would you give either to your younger self, or would you give to people that have the ambition to also become CIOs in organizations like yours. What is it that you can share with them, the advice that you would give to them?
I think that people who want to become a CIO today has a great potentiality. It's a moment for us very, very special, privileged, because we are changing our role from the PC technicians to the business orchestrators. We have in our hands the lever of the most powerful lever of transformation, the technologies. And so I can suggest is take passion, maintain your passion, continues to learn, and not let anyone to switch off the light in the eyes, because we have to continue to view the future and to share this future with our company in order to make concrete results. So be passionate and be with passion and be with light in the eyes.
Okay, and with that, Barbara, I would like to thank you for your time, for sharing all your stories and your experience. It was a pleasure. I'm looking forward to come and visit you in Genova, have some nice Italian wine together, or some good Italian coffee. So thank you so much, and see you soon. Bye for now.
Thank you so much.